Three horrible booking decisions from AEW Revolution 2025, and there was certainly a bunch of positives, but there was also a lot of negatives. Number case in point, the main event, which we are going to get to. But first, let's kick it off at number 3, because in my opinion, I think AEW made the wrong decision with the opening contest. Now, it was Hangman Page, it was MJF, it was one of the best built feuds leading into Revolution. It was one of the better matches on the card. You had two top tier names, two top pillar names in the history of AEW, names that go back to 2019, and they had an epic build to a very, very good match. They didn't have to go crazy. They just had to do exactly what they needed to do, play to their strengths, and exactly worked how it should have been. However, in my opinion, I feel that MJF should have went over Hangman Page. Now, clearly they're building towards Swerve Strickland versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World title, but I want to see MJF utilized a little bit better in AEW. He's worked 2 matches this year, okay? Hangman Page is a made guy, and I feel like they have built him up very, very well over the last year. But MJF has been a pillar and a core of this promotion in terms of a top-tier main event caliber superstar, where when he is a true draw, you need to use him as a true draw. You need to be very selective with who beats him. I didn't think Hangman at this juncture necessarily needed that win, and I'm hopeful that going forward they can get MJF back to the main event scene in terms of being a true top main event world champion player in this promotion. Number 2, I felt that AEW missed a shot. They missed the shot with Brody King. I felt like Brody King should have went in there and should have beat Okada for the Continental title. Ever since Okada has come to AEW, he hasn't done anything of note. Outside of the Continental Classic and the tournament, winning it 2 straight years, I'm sorry, I don't care about your tournament. It's not the G1. They've tried to make it the G1. It's not. Okada has had a run with this belt forever, it seems like, and Brody King is a guy that the fans are starting to get behind as a single star. Malachi Black is gone, and now they want to see what Brody King can do. He is over with this fan base. He has the bark over. You had a real opportunity to make Brody King and solidify him as a legit single star had you have not just had him beat Okada, who A, doesn't need the title, B, is already building to a Kenny Omega match at All In. Why justify the win of Okada going over at the expense of Brody King, a star-making ability you had right there in front of your face, and you opted not to do it just because you want to build towards a unification bout, it seems like, between the Continental Championship and the International Championship. Okada holds one, Omega holds the other, and you do that at All In. Guess what? You can do a title unification anytime you want, and you can still do Omega versus Okada without it having to be the title unification. You are supposed to create and build and promote your new up-and-coming younger stars. Okada is not that guy. I'm sorry. He's not going to be your face of the company type guy. He's a comedy act right now, which is actually laughable. But at the end of the day, I think Brody King should have went over. Number 1, you probably guessed it. It was the main event, but not for necessarily the reasons that I think you might think of. So going into the show, everyone was just hoping. They were praying, okay, we don't necessarily love the fact that Cope is going to be the world champion, but at least the Death Rider storyline will be dissolved. It will be gone. It will be over with. No more. We haven't seen the World Heavyweight Championship in months. It's been stuck in a briefcase, which is weird in itself. No one likes the storyline, and it looked like all the signs pointed up to Jon Moxley losing the title. Obviously, they didn't do that. They tried to salvage this. The number 1 horrible booking decision was the fact that they put this as the main event. Tony Khan defended this decision at the press conference, stating that the last 4 matches could have headlined this pay-per-view event. Well, Tony Khan, you made the wrong choice, and you probably should have known that on paper, considering that everyone hates the storyline. even the most tribalistic of fan out there for AEW, I have not seen defend this stupid storyline. You had Christian Cage come out there, cash in his number one contender championship match like a moron instead of saving it until after the match, or at a time where Jon Moxley was laid out. No, you cash in during the match because you want someone else but Cope, who does not do jobs in AEW outside of the Grand Slam loss, to have it and have Christian Cage lose instead of Cope. I understand that you were building towards Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland for the World Heavyweight Championship at Dynasty, but that means that we're going to sit through another month of Death Rider storyline. Death Rider's Jon Moxley as our World Heavyweight Champion. That I do not like. If you wanted to simply have Moxley retain the championship here, you could have easily have put this as the in the middle of the card, okay? The steel cage match could have headlined. Tony Storm versus Mariah May could have headlined. Even Omega, I see a lot of people there loving the Omega Takeshita match. I didn't love it. I thought it went 28 minutes way too long. I think you could have shaved off at least 10 minutes of this match. You could have put something else in this spot. And it put a sour taste in the mouths of your fan base, because even though this was one of the greatest pay-per-view events I have ever seen, it was overshadowed by the main event. And you can say, well, look at this great card, and it's like, it's how you finish. You can have a crappy show, but if you have a great main event and you have great storytelling, then that's what people are going to remember. You have to have a great open, middle, and end matches. That's it. You don't need 15 matches. You need 3 amazing matches, and it sets the tempo for a pay-per-view event. It's that clear, it's that concise, it's that factual. It's a WWE product, it's a WWE template that they literally do every single month. And at the end of the day, AEW should know better. They should learn from this. But yes, we have to sit through Jon Moxley one more month. Hopefully they get a freaking clue when they put the championship on Swerve Strickland. Do I have hope that they're going to do that? Not necessarily, because Swerve and Prince Nana, they're teasing that they're having issues amongst each other, and I don't like that in terms of a prospect of a major title change. I honestly think we're not going to get this title off of Jon Moxley until All In. I really think he's going to hold it until July. It's their big event. Double or Nothing's kind of being overshadowed. I hope I'm wrong. I initially pitched going into the show that I think MJF should be the world champion again. But if that means that we get Swerve back as world champion, I am well for that. I'm open to that. But they got a serious problem here in which they got to address.